As far as I'm concerned, we're in the road to the Royal Rumble, so I think it's fair to start making some Royal Rumble related videos. So today we're going to be talking and answering the question, who should win the Royal Rumble? Not who I think is going to win it, but more so who should. So I've got a list of different wrestlers, both from the men's and the women's division, that I'd like to go through and see why they should or shouldn't win the Royal Rumble. And hey, as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, you're going to fall in love with this channel because we upload daily wrestling content. And as I'm making this, I'm just now realizing that I'm wearing both a John Cena shirt and a John Cena hat. It was completely by accident. A happy accident, might I add, though. And if you want even more wrestling content going into 2024, check out patreon.com/SantiZap. You're gonna get more wrestling content there, like my Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, and starting in the new year, my NXT reviews alongside the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days early. So again, if you want that extra content, go check it out. It's in the description of this video. Patreon.com/SantiZap. Now let's jump into it. So let's start off with Jade Cargill, who I believe is at the top of a lot of people's list as a potential winner for the Royal Rumble. Not only that, but debuting at the Royal Rumble and winning the whole thing. And I mean, that is a crazy accomplishment. And because it's that crazy of an accomplishment, I just don't see it happening, because that is just such an incredible vote of confidence for somebody who is admittedly just not proven on the grand stage that is the WWE. Don't get me wrong, I love Jade Cargill. She looks amazing. She's gonna be a main eventer, no ifs, ands, or buts, but I think pushing her that quickly, that fast to the very top of the mountain, a top of the mountain that includes a quasi WrestleMania main event, it might even grow some resentment, not just within the fans, but within the actual talent in the locker room. So I don't think that she should win the Royal Rumble in her inaugural appearance. However, I guess the main case for this would be to impress other free agents as to how they could be treated in the WWE should they were to sign with the WWE, because the WWE can say, hey, look how we treated Jade Cargill. We treated her like a star. We pushed her to the moon, made her a megastar. She's now in Hollywood. We can now do that for you too. Like, if I'm a free agent and I see that, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, that's enticing. However, as a fan, I just think it's the wrong call. Next up, let's look at Bianca Belair, who is one of the favorites to win it because she is one of the totem poles of the women's division. She is one of the mega stars that the WWE has in that division, and you should always count on her to put in at least a really strong performance at the Royal Rumble. I will say, this is not my favorite pick, although if they go with it, I want them to go a different route than what most people would probably want. The thing is that Bianca Belair has already had a pretty solid 2023, 2022, 2021. Like, she is a perennial main eventer at this point, and she's set up to have another big year in 2024. And I just don't think that she necessarily needs the Rumble to continue to be at the top of the pecking order of the women's division. However, let's pretend that they do give her the Royal Rumble victory. Where do we go with this? Because to me, it doesn't make sense for her to go after Io Sky, considering that she has lost time after time to Io Sky in Damage Control. So for her to get another crack at them at WrestleMania might seem a little bit unearned. However, if they decide to go a different route and have her swap over to Monday Night Raw and feud with Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship, that I'm down for. Look, personally, I would prefer to have a brand new Women's Royal Rumble winner, considering Bianca has already won the thing. However, if this is gonna set up Bianca versus Rhea Ripley, I would definitely be down for that, considering Rhea Ripley just has not had any sort of marquee main event style matches and feuds, because most of those women, aside from Becky Lynch, are over on SmackDown. So to see her swap brands after winning the Royal Rumble and facing with Rhea Ripley, I'd be down for that. However, I still don't think this is the top choice. For a long time, my top choice was Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch, to me, has earned the ability to call herself the first ever two-time Women's Royal Rumble winner with everything that she's done this year, helping the likes of people in NXT like Lyra Valkyria, like Tiffany Stratton, other people like Tegan Nox, Indy Hartwell, Xia Li. She's just helped so many people jumpstart their career in the main roster or in NXT. So I feel like she, at some point or another, is due for a quote reward from the WWE, and I wouldn't be surprised if that reward is being the first ever two-time winner of the Women's Royal Rumble. Let's also not ignore the giant elephant in the room. That giant elephant being the fact that Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley have been kept apart from one another ever since Rhea Ripley won the Royal Rumble. So at some point or another, there has to be a clash of these two, considering these are far and away the two biggest names in the women's division on Monday Night Raw. Now, I'm not sure sure why they've been separating them so much. The only thing I can think of is that they maybe want to save that matchup for WrestleMania. And if you want to save that matchup for WrestleMania, well, then you can just have Becky Lynch win the Royal Rumble and have that set up the feud. However, I also think that if that is the plan, Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley, that Becky Lynch doesn't necessarily need the Women's Royal Rumble victory again in order to get that match. Like, this is Becky Lynch. Like, she can really just stroll into any main event scene that she wants. So even though she was my pick for a long time, I've now cooled down on that opinion, and I don't think that she should be the one winning the Royal Rumble. Another really popular option with people right now is a returning Liv Morgan, who has a story right there in place to feud with Rhea Ripley. Not only that, but she was one of those like last people eliminated from the Royal Rumble by Rhea Ripley. So not only was her career cut short, she was eliminated at the last Royal Rumble by Rhea Ripley. Like, to me, there's a feud that's just perfectly like sitting right there for the taking. The question that a lot of people are asking is, does Liv Morgan have enough star power to get us excited about her winning the Royal Rumble and setting up a feud with Rhea Ripley, somebody that's like 3 times her size and strength? Like, could we genuinely get behind Liv Morgan dethroning somebody like Rhea Ripley? Like, is that realistic enough for us to get behind? The thing is, it's professional wrestling. Absolutely, it can happen if they build it the right way. If they create a good emotional attachment between Liv Morgan and her trying to topple down the Goliath that is Rhea Ripley, it's totally doable and it can get us emotionally invested. But I do understand that criticism of Liv Morgan. I just feel like at the moment, she is one rung below those other top tier women like the Rheas, the Charlottes, the Biancas of the world. She's just not quite there yet. Now, could a Royal Rumble victory push her there? Maybe, but I think it needs more than that. I think we need a nice emotional story behind it, and I think they can do it. Here's the thing. If Sasha Banks returns at the Royal Rumble, it's spoiled. She's winning. She's not gonna return at the Rumble and not win. 100% Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, whatever you want to call her, if she does return to the WWE at the Royal Rumble, which is 100% plausible because she is a free agent, has not signed with AEW, with New Japan, she could 100% sign with WWE, and it would be the perfect time for her to sign with WWE because it's Royal Rumble season, road to WrestleMania. Triple H is 100% in charge of the WWE. My opinion, there's no better place for her to sign than the WWE right now. And if she does return to the WWE, she's definitely going to win the Rumble. And I think from a narrative perspective, I think it'd be cool to see Sasha Banks win it as well. She's one of the few horsewomen that hasn't won the darn thing. Now, granted, similar to somebody like Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks does not need a Royal Rumble victory to justify a marquee match for a women's world title at WrestleMania. Her star power alone can catapult her to that stage. So maybe we save that for somebody that could use that victory a little bit more. But we can't ignore the fact that that would be super hype to have Sasha Banks return at the Rumble and win the whole thing. It'd be pretty friggin' awesome. However, at the end of the day, to me right now, all roads lead to Bayley. I think that Bayley should win the Royal Rumble. This is not me telling you that I think she's gonna win it. I just think that she should. When I look at the women's world title picture, I think that the most murky one in terms of like a road to WrestleMania match is Io Sky's title. Who is left to take on Io Sky? Charlotte is injured. She's already beaten Bianca Belair, so that's just not another realistic rematch. The only other one that's left of magnitude big enough for a WrestleMania match is Bayley. And I feel like they're already starting to plant the seeds. Forget planting the seeds. I think those seeds were planted and it's already starting to sprout. The betrayal of Damage Control and kicking out Bayley. I think it's a very much a possibility that this could happen. And I think that a Royal Rumble victory could maybe lead to some sort of like 2005 Batista stuff where she wins it, celebrates with Damage Control, but ultimately ends up going after Io Sky. I think Bayley also deserves it. Like in terms of all of the work that she's done, I feel like she's the biggest, most underrated, unsung hero in the women's division in WWE history. She just doesn't get the same love and limelight like some of the other women from her class do. And I think it's time to give her flowers. I know you guys hate me using these analogies because because I use them so often, but give her goddamn flowers. Bayley deserves them. She's put in the work. She's helped put over people in Damage Control. She still has that main event aura about her, and this is one of the few accomplishments that's left for her. This is who I think should win the Women's Royal Rumble. Let's move over to the men, and let's start off with AJ Styles, who put on about 10 pounds of muscle, and now we call him AJ Stacks. Look, I think it's appropriate. He debuted at the Royal Rumble. In fact, he debuted at the Royal Rumble coming out to face Roman Reigns. He has some beef with the Bloodline. I could see it happening. Maybe they're trying to push this Cody Rhodes story even further beyond WrestleMania 40, and I think that a good matchup for Roman Reigns could be AJ Styles. Still, I just don't think that this is it. I just don't think that WWE sees AJ Styles as a big enough draw, as a big enough name to be the one to finally dethrone Roman Reigns. I don't see it happening. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be really out of left field if they had AJ Styles win, and this is one of those few major accomplishments left on AJ Styles' illustrious career, a true WrestleMania main event where he's finishing off one of the nights and a Royal Rumble victory. The other one is Bobby Lashley. This is another unsung hero similar to Bayley that's just been putting in work year after year after year, but never feels like he's been treated like the top guy that he clearly looks like. On top of that, when we look at like the list of people that Roman Reigns has faced, we are missing a glaring obvious option here, which is Bobby Lashley. We missed out on the opportunity of getting Bobby Lashley versus Roman Reigns all the way back, and I think it was 2021, where they should have faced each other at Survivor Series, but it ended up being Roman versus Big E, which was cool, but I was really hyped for Roman versus Bobby. So that's one of those marquee matches that Roman Reigns has still yet to have, and I think that Bobby Lashley definitely has the star power, he has the look, he has the legitimacy behind him to feel like a threat for Roman Reigns going into WrestleMania. Still, even though I do think that it'd be cool, and again, also out of left field, I just don't see it happening. Then there's Cody Rhodes. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you, if he wins the Royal Rumble, there's gonna be a lot of fan resentment of him winning it back to back. There's nothing wrong with a superstar winning multiple Royal Rumbles. We've seen Cena do it, Randy do it, Hogan, Austin, HBK, but the back-to-back Rumble, man, like, I feel like that is something better served for the 90s when there weren't as many megastars that could really anchor a WrestleMania as there is today. Plus, I think that if we are going to get Cody back to Roman Reigns, that there needs to be more of a struggle to get there as opposed to, I just won the Rumble again and I'm back here because this is just what the rules of the Royal Rumble say. I feel like we're past that. I feel like we're past the point where it's just we want Cody versus Roman again, and let's just find an easy way to get there. I feel like there needs to be a really strong narrative told as to why Cody Rhodes deserves to get back there. And I think that a Royal Rumble victory does disservice to that story and skips all of that. So I just don't think that Cody Rhodes should win the Royal Rumble this year. We have Jey Uso as a possibility. I mean, for God's sake, they're calling him main event Jey Uso. What better way to really cement him as main event than having him win at WrestleMania and main event the main event of main events, WrestleMania. There's still a lot of like untold story left between Roman, Jey, Jimmy, Solo, the entirety of the bloodline. So I like the idea of bringing Jey back into that story so that we can unravel those ends. However, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that Jey's story is against Roman anymore. I think that tribal combat ooze has passed. I think the story that needs to be told moving forward is Jey versus Jimmy. And if the plan is to get Jey versus Jimmy, which is I think what you want and what I want, then we need to entirely bypass the idea of Jey Uso being a Royal Rumble contender. Randy Orton is a very dangerous and a very serious option for this. However, I think that he's likely going to have a match at the Royal Rumble, which prevents him from being involved in the actual Royal Rumble match. I mean, not necessarily, but traditionally, if you have a match earlier in the day, you're typically not in the Royal Rumble match. However, just like Bobby Lashley, Randy Orton is one of those few megastars that Roman Reigns hasn't beaten in a feud yet. So at some point or another, I would love to get Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns in a proper one-on-one feud. And a returning Randy Orton that's setting his sights on breaking the record for the most world championship wins, to me is an easy narrative to get behind. But I think history is against Randy Orton. If we give Randy Orton this victory, he would be a 3-time Royal Rumble winner. Like, that's Stone Cold Steve Austin's thing. Like, he is the only 3-time Royal Rumble winner, and the reason why he kept winning Royal Rumbles is because he was far and away the biggest star and the star that you wanted in the main event of WrestleMania. However, nowadays, there's like 10 different guys that I think could fill in that void. Like, we don't need to have another 3-time Royal Rumble winner. So, just like Becky Lynch, I don't think that Randy Orton needs a Royal Rumble victory in order to have a marquee match at WrestleMania, in order to have a feud against Roman Reigns, whether it's at WrestleMania or not, I don't know. But you can just position Randy Orton into that spot without any sort of explanation. It's Randy freaking Orton. So because of that, I don't think he should win the Royal Rumble. We can look at Sami Zayn as well, somebody that's been putting in work, somebody that has elevated their stock like 1,000-fold ever since the early days of 2022 and even in 2021. This man has become a perennial main eventer off of the back of his great in-ring work and off of the back of his great character work as well. And Sami Zayn has been the underdog. He is this guy that has not been able to win a world championship yet in the WWE. It'd be a beautiful story to see him win the Royal Rumble against some of the major heavy hitters in the WWE and setting up a world championship match, maybe against Rollins or maybe Drew McIntyre, where there's a lot of history between those two. So look, if Drew McIntyre ends up beating Seth Rollins at day one, then I think you move up Sami Zayn up the odds of winning the Royal Rumble even more. Look, ultimately, I just think it comes down to, I think that he's earned a moment like this. However, I still don't think that it should be him. Then there's The Rock. I don't want this. I don't want this in any way, shape, or form. And the only reason he's on here is because of the rumors that he's coming back to have a match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. How the hell do you set that up? I mean, if you wanted to do it really easily, then you just have The Rock go into the Royal Rumble and win the whole thing. However, I'd be concerned. Look, I'd be slightly concerned he'd get booed if he wins. But it is The Rock. It's an impossibility to think of The Rock getting booed. However, there's just so many guys that have been grinding and grinding and grinding for years and years and years that seeing Dwayne Johnson in the main event of WrestleMania and not me makes me sick. Who knows that quote? Where's that from? I really don't think it should be The Rock. I think you can still do The Rock and Roman if you want, but they've got the Bloodline storyline right there to set that up. You don't need a Royal Rumble victory. You don't need to steal away a limelight from one of the workers that's been there week in, week out, working house shows. Rock, you don't need a Royal Rumble victory. I believe that the odds-on favorite to win it right now is CM Punk. And if CM Punk does win it, there's really only one narrative that can be told, and it's him going after Seth Rollins. Here's the thing. A feud with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, whether it has the title or not, would main event one of those nights. That's just the truth. I would like it to be for the title. I think that would be greatly beneficial for the title to have somebody of the caliber and a legend like CM Punk go after the title and have it be at a major show like WrestleMania, a show where that title has never been defended on yet because it's not even a year old. But I don't think it's necessary. And as much as I love CM Punk, a lot of people know that he's one of my favorites of all time. I have to put on the same parameters that I put on Dwayne Johnson to CM Punk. I think it would be pretty shitty if you're somebody that's been working there week in, week out for the past 365 days, just to have CM Punk stroll in, win the Royal Rumble, and immediately get a marquee match. And it'd be extra painful considering he just doesn't need to win this to have a marquee match. You can still have him in a marquee match while still putting over somebody else in the Royal Rumble. So even though he's the odds-on favorite, I don't think he should win. You want to know who I think should win? I think it should be Gunther. I think Gunther should go into WrestleMania not only as the Royal Rumble winner, but he should go in with the Intercontinental Championship. At this point, none of us question whether or not Gunther is going to win a world title. It's a matter of when, not a matter of if anymore. And I think that if you have him win a world title after he loses the Intercontinental Championship, I think that his stock is going to dip down quite a bit whenever he loses that championship. So in my opinion, don't have him lose that championship. Have him go into WrestleMania after winning the Royal Rumble as the Intercontinental Champion and have him walk out of WrestleMania just like Ultimate Warrior did as Intercontinental Champion and World Champion. But this guy has just been putting in work, putting in some of the best matches of the year, week in, week out, whether it's just on Monday Night Raw or on PLEs. You are confident that the match of the night is going to belong to this man right here, Gunther. And he has the believability factor as well. He has everything going for him. He's even improved significantly on the microphone and as a storyteller. I think you should pull the trigger on Gunther. But folks, that's where I'm going to leave it at. This is your chance to tell me where I'm wrong, where I've gone crazy, but that's what the comment section is for. So go ahead, fight it out in there. But for now, I'm done. Get out of here.